one of the most scandalous tenets of some schools of ancient Christianity is that the cosmos around us is inherently evil, forged by a psychopathic demiurge and ruled over by a host of planetary demons bent on nothing less than the torture and enslavement of the divine spark hidden within each human being. The origin and nature of those rulers, or archons in ancient Greek, remains one of the more obscure issues in this quite honestly provocative theology. But the discovery of a wealth of ancient magical texts and a small library from Egypt has shed more light on the very beings these Christians felt must be finally defeated and surpassed as the soul escaped our cosmic prison. In this episode, I want to explore what we know about the archons, their origins in Greco-Egyptian cosmology and magic, and how ancient Christians, though now known often as Gnostics, though problematically, thought they could soar beyond the terrible clutches of these beings. If you're interested in magic, Hermetic philosophy, Gnosticism, alchemy, Kabbalah, or the history of the occult, make sure to subscribe here to Esoterica. And also check out my numerous other content and topics in esotericism, including curated playlists on a range of topics. Also, if you want to support this work of providing accessible, scholarly, and free content on topics in esotericism here on YouTube, for free, I'd hope you consider supporting my work on Patreon. You can use a one-time donation. You can also take advantage of the Super Thanks option just below the video, or you can pick up some of our black metal merch over on the store tab for the channel. But now, let's explore the wardens, the prison guards of our cosmic cell, our cosmic prison, the archons of ancient Gnosticism. I'm Justin Sledge, and welcome to Esoterica, where we explore the arcane in history, philosophy, and religion. The world of the second and especially the third centuries of the Common Era was a world increasingly coming apart, a world tearing itself apart at the seams. Especially from within the traditional perspective of ancient Egypt, it was something of an apocalypse. It was really the end of the world of ancient Egypt. Centuries of Hellenistic hegemony, Roman conquest, along with widespread economic and political stability, made for a world very much worth escaping. And a great many schools of theological, spiritual, and philosophical escapism, frankly, emerged. The inward turn of Stoicism as a coping philosophy, the mystical ascent spiritualities of Jewish Merkava and Hermetic philosophies, and the afterlife-oriented, anti-worldly redemption offered by the Christianities of that day, made for a veritable menu of technologies for just that cosmic escape. Perhaps none was more radical, none more extreme than the early species of Christianity that have come down to be known as Gnosticism. Now, to be frank, I just don't have time to do a deep dive into the incredibly complex mythologies of the Sethians and the Valentinians and the Ophites and the Basilidians or the Cainites, though I've done episodes on many of those, and they are probably worth watching, especially the episode on the Apocryphon of John and the section on the Valentinian Christianity. Those are going to be really important connective tissues to get an idea of what's going on in this video. In fact, I have a whole Gnosticism playlist you can check out if you're interested in really going deep on the Gnostic train. But the central thrust shared by many of these theologies is that the true reality is a spiritual reality, not this. It's a spiritual reality presided over by an ineffable deity whose outflowing, whose emanations generated a host of beings known as the fullness, or the pleroma in Greek. However, one such entity, Sophia, or wisdom, sought to create on her own without the consent of the great invisible spirit. This mistake created a horrifying being, a nightmarish creature known variously as Saklas, Samael, Yaldabaoth, or the demiurge. Now, unlike Platonism, Stoicism, Judaism, or other species of Christianity, for whom the creator of this world was a benevolent deity who created a maximally beautiful world, a maximally good world, these Christians held that the physical cosmos was that this was all a kind of prison, ruled over by that hideous demiurge, the craftsperson, along with a retinue of malevolent beings known as the rulers, or archons in ancient Greek. In this myth, the upper spiritual realm ultimately takes pity on us, poor human beings, and smuggles within them a divine spiritual spark, and ultimately sends Christ, Jesus, who reveals the truth about our cosmos and the means by which to escape it, and, of course, to return with him, finally, to that divine light. Of course, I'm greatly simplifying the mythology. There is an enormous amount of variation both in these schools of thought and between them, frankly. There's not just one Gnosticism. But in a structural sense, the core myth system remains remarkably consistent. There's an ineffable spiritual reality in which a metaphysical tragedy occurs, engendering the creation of the malevolent demiurge, which in turn creates the physical reality around us, the physical cosmos, in which divine elements are trapped or encased within human beings, and we as human beings have to escape this world. In this episode, however, I want to focus in on one element, just one element of this mythology, the origins and nature of the cosmic prison wardens, as it were, the archons. Now, of course, I'll be coming back to do another episode on the origins of really the most shocking element in all of this, the origins and nature of the evil creator, or the demiurge, Sakla, Samael, Yaldabaoth. But the archons turn out to be a crucially important element in this mythology because, in a very important sense, they have created this physical prison, including our bodies in which we are trapped and deluded into believing this is all real. They are responsible for tricking us into believing that any of this is real. And even our thoughts and emotions are just inner puppetry to control us. And that these entities must be ultimately defeated and bypassed in our final jailbreak back to the spiritual world of light, beauty, and oneness. So, what do we really know about the archons? The term archon would have struck ancient ears as powerfully political, though without much of the majesty or any association with